Welcome to How Do You Hustle. On today's episode of How Do You Hustle, we have comedian Nick White on the show. I'm so excited to have you on. How are you, Nick?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, for people that maybe don't recognize you or obviously are listening to this podcast and haven't heard of you, tell us what you do basically. And I know I stumbled across you on TikTok, and I must admit, you are one of my favorite people to watch. I literally like everything you post.
Oh, that's
So
so
can you
good.
kind of tell us about your what you do on TikTok as well?
Yeah, cool. So I started out as a stand-up comedian almost 5 years ago, and then, but just on the side, because I work full time in architecture. But yeah, I started TikTok last year in about April or May, and then yeah, I kind of blew up at the start of this year in February. My friend Tilly and I did a series called "How American TV Sounded as an Australian Kid." And that is kind of what kicked us off, like
Is it?
kick-started everything. Yeah. um and then yeah, every now and then I'll just come up with a new character. Back in June I came up with working with that coworker, and for me that's kind of what blew up the most for me so
For
far.
you
And it's
personally.
yeah,
I
yeah.
must admit, I that's where I found you. You popped up. I think because I follow a lot of those changing your career and like those aspirational career, 5 to 9 outside of your 9 to 5 episodes and things
Mm.
like that. So I think you must have been tailored to that. And then you popped up on my algorithm and I was like obsessed because
Oh, that's funny.
you actually remind me so much of when I worked. I actually worked in corporate for like
Mm.
4 years in like communications. And you remind me so much of one of these like old guys that I was like kind of one of my clients in a really like old fashioned kind of corporate office. And actually spoke exactly the same. And you say the like, for that one, I'm just gonna get you to help
Mm.
me on that one. And oh, just the delegation of everything is just like so spot on. I love that character.
Yeah, he's so annoying. Well, yeah, I haven't said whether they're male or female because I wanted
Oh, true.
the viewer to kind of, because everyone knows a coworker like that, and I want the
Yeah,
viewer to associate
decide.
it with the person they know. So I think I'm starting to see them as a man just because I play him and I've been doing the character for so long now that he's really developed in my mind. I mean, I'm calling him he right now, but for a long time they were genderless, and I still think they are. But
I think they are
their
too.
name, yeah,
I
yeah,
I've definitely had female coworkers exactly the same now that you mention it. I mean,
yeah.
absolutely, but it's probably reminding me more of one of them actually, but it's just that like so spot on and it's just freaky.
Yeah.
And like I'm trying to think, oh, the like when you're in the office, like do. So anyway, when someone's explaining something, it's just so spot on. Anyone that hasn't seen that other coworker with Nick on TikTok, definitely go check it out. So I might just ask, like off the back of that, I feel like we have to cover it. So what was kind of the inspiration for that character and maybe the other American like sort of series that you did, and maybe give our listeners a little sample of a couple of the different characters that you do if you feel comfortable.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think I've always been very observant, and like I've always been able to do impressions since I was a kid. And I think it's because I just didn't fit in as a kid or as a teenager. And I was always just like watching people trying to learn, like, how do I fit in? So I'm really like observant of people's traits and mannerisms and tones and like accents, everything. And that coworker just started, I don't know, like, I mean, I worked at Woolworths for like 6 years, and there was always like do you want a receipt with that one? And like that one was always something that I'm like, it
Yeah.
just sounds so fake and like unnecessary. And,
Mm.
um, and I like to just do annoying characters to annoy my friends. And then, yeah, I was literally working from home one day. And sometimes I just talk out loud to myself. I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to move that one. I'm just going to do. And then I was like, I'm just going to film this. So I just filmed it. I was like, what I might get you to do for that one. And then every video I did of that character, it just got more
Yeah.
extreme And now the characters at a point where they're just like deranged. They'll be like, sorry, what I'm gonna get you to jar for that one. Jar. Yeah. Like they have so many weird little laughs, and like they do this laugh now, but they're like that only started a few weeks ago. Like they're just getting weirder and weirder.
I've
But
seen the progression, but I love it. I'm here for
yeah.
it.
I like it too. Like, and I got a comment once that was like, "Oh, you should have kept it subtle. That's what I liked the most. It was funny." I'm like, I don't decide how this character evolves. It just happens. I just do whatever feels right.
Take it
So
on a
yeah,
mind of its own, the
kind of.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like the key to your content is it is very relatable, but like I know you have another character, which is the American guy that does like story time. And
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
always crack off at that because on my TikTok, there's guys who actually do that, or girls as well, who are like, okay, so story time. And that's how they start. And I just like laugh because it's so
Yeah.
realistic and relatable.
And they always just like, because yeah, I lived in America for 2.5 years,
Right.
and so did my friend Tilly lived there for a year, and that's how we started the American videos because we just loved saying funny American terms and words when we lived there. Like, and then it just kept evolving. And then the story time ones, I would just always see them. I'm like, why are they so descriptive? And I always have to be like, it's when I was in junior, senior year of my sophomore, freshman. It's like, doesn't matter. Like, just get to it, you know. But
It's not relevant
yeah,
to the story at all.
yeah, just like get to the point.
Yeah, I know. I love it. So before you sort of took off on TikTok, you said you were doing stand up, and yeah, that was one of my questions. Like, do you think that progression of your, I guess, content on TikTok has like helped your comedy, or like obviously you said you were doing it before, has it like kind of increased a bit more now? Like walk us through that.
It's definitely changed how I approach stand up in a few ways. I'd say one of the biggest ways is just being more confident in my comedy. Like I've always known I'm good at comedy and that I'm funny, but like it's still easy to doubt yourself, especially with stand up when you're in
Definitely.
a lineup with 10 other people and you're comparing yourself to them. But then when you I think TikTok for me at this point now, I don't really think about how will this be perceived. I just do what I want because I know people enjoy it. And
Yeah.
that's been a big confidence boost because it's like, oh, I know that people enjoy my comedy. And even if I bomb in this room, I am still confident in my comedy because I know I have this audience that tell me they enjoy it. So it's helped with confidence. And then it's also kind of helped with my kind of what material I do. Like I still do a lot of my same jokes, but because even when I'm talking with friends in real life, I slip in and out of characters a lot, just like
Yeah.
little accents, little like Jerry like coworker things where I'm like, yeah. And then so I do that on stage more now where I'll just kind
Yeah.
of have more fun with it. And like I did a show in Brisbane.
I saw. I really wanted to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Are you in Brisbane?
I am on the Gold Coast. I was in Melbourne
Oh,
before
right, right,
that, but
right.
yeah, I'm a Queensland girl. I think you're from
Oh,
Queensland
okay.
as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm from
Yeah,
Brisbane. Yeah.
originally. Yeah. Are
Yeah,
you still
yeah.
living here?
I live in Sydney.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was good though, because like that's the first show that I've done where like most of the tickets were bought by like fans from TikTok. So I was
Love
like,
that.
okay, I have to do some of my TikTok characters. And it was really fun and people liked it. So I
Yeah.
think from this point forward, it's also going to change what I do on stage, which for me is a good thing because I love doing my characters and it's good to have a fan base that know the characters now. Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, I guess it gives you like that point of difference. Like like obviously there's pros and cons that come with being known for some like a certain character that that you're obviously a bit
Yeah.
tied to that now, but I think like it's that point of difference and that recognition for people,
Mm.
which kind of sets you apart. So yeah, I was just going to also ask, you've already covered off sort of the inspiration behind a couple of the characters, but why do you think like that office character is the character people really connect with. Like it's kind of random, but yeah, in your mind, why do you think it has taken off and like people really connect to that?
I mean, yeah, I definitely don't fully know why, but I think it is because there's a surprising amount of people in real life that are like that. And they really, I don't want to say they don't have a personality, but like they really make their job
Their
like
whole
that.
life.
I mean, it's good to be passionate about your job, but it's for them, it's more of a like power trip thing. And it's more of a
Agreed.
like, look how good I am at this one. And
Yeah.
it's like,
And like, I don't
yeah, I don't
actually
know.
need to do any of the work. You're going to do it all for me for that one.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, okay, like I think the reason I started that character is because there was just one day when I was just like kind of cringing at people that take themselves so seriously at work. And I was just like, a bit, it's a, yeah, every character I do, or even every joke I do, is just to kind of like process something I'm annoyed at the time to
Yeah.
just like get it out. Like, even
Sense.
the guy that I do who's like, guy who only has a following because he's hot. I was literally
Yeah,
watching a
that one.
live of a
Yeah.
hot guy who said something homophobic, and I was just like, why you shouldn't even have a following. And then I was just like, I'm just gonna make a video about it, and now it's a character. So like, yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I think it's because everyone knows someone
Someone
who's
like
like that, and like the little like characteristics that just irk them. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. And like it is, and I feel like it's Jerry, isn't it? I feel like he's
yeah,
such a well, they are such a like stickler for the rules, and like these are the rules.
yeah,
We have to stick to them. And there's always someone in every office, and everyone else is just like, oh, chill. Like we can go on a
yeah,
break that's more than half an hour.
yeah. Just relax. Yeah, I
Relax
know.
a little bit. Yeah, and I was gonna just ask as well. I know you mentioned you work in architecture, so yeah, do you obviously you still do that career and you love it, and then this podcast is about, I guess, people who are kind of creating their own career paths in a more modern, day and age, having side hustles, starting their own businesses. Yours is obviously quite a diverse and like unique kind of career that you're creating for yourself, as well as your 9 to 5.
Mm.
So yeah, like how do you kind of juggle that? And like, do you still find that there's parts of your other job that like you get something out of that maybe you don't get out of, the more creative side?
Mm. Um, it's yeah, it's very tricky. I mean, I work for like a great company. I've only been there for about just over a year. I started in
Yeah.
June last year. Um, and I love working there, and I love like going there just because they really hire people based on their personality. So everyone just vibes. Like, it's a great
That's great.
social environment. Um, but definitely I'd say at least this year, my head has just been so in comedy. Like comedy, at least for like the last few years, has been my main passion, at least for like the last 5 years or 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, and I like my job and I try my best, but comedy's what I'm in love with. But
Yeah.
and obviously like I was very lucky during the pandemic that I had this 9 to 5
Outlet.
career that, yeah, that like was security, and it was also, it's a interesting job, and it's uh I've always worked for good companies as well. And yeah, but I think yeah, comedy is kind of what I put most of my energy into. And I guess with architecture, it's an ongoing development of, you need to work towards your registration and things like that, which probably I'm not at the same level as a lot of people who might be at my level of experience working towards those things, just because I have this other thing that takes up a lot
Yeah.
of my time. But I'm fine with that because I know that at this point in my life, they're both important, but comedy is the one that's like drawing me more just because of the momentum from this year. So yeah, I guess that's what I'd say. I don't know. That answer was kind of
No,
all over the
that makes
place, but
sense. Do they know about like your other side hustle as well?
yeah, I mean, I
You
think
would have
they all
had
do. I
to.
had to do, well, yeah, I had to do a get to know you presentation back in April, and I told them I do stand up. And then since then, I mean, yeah, they know. I mean, some of them are in my TikToks,
Yeah,
but
I
my
saw a
boss
video.
knows. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if like the people at the top know, like the principals know, but
Probably not, but I mean,
I don't know. But yeah, I don't think it's like really getting in the way of my job. I do leave at 5:30 every day because I'm like, for most nights I either have, well, not recently, but I do gigs and I
mm,
have things that I need to like talk to my manager. I need to look in into things, and things like this, like podcast, and there's always something I need to go home for. So that's where I was kind of saying I don't put my extra time into developing that career at the moment. It's more my comedy career. I put those
yeah.
hours and that energy into.
And I think that's more common these days. Like a lot of people have a side hustle and, they're
Mm,
not, the days of the 8 till 6 are kind of changing for a lot of people, I think.
yeah, totally.
Um, so what was also, I was going to ask, what was your very first job? Like, where did you work? Like in the very early stages of your, uni or school job? What was that? Just out of interest.
Well, my very first job, I don't know if it counts, but I worked at that chicken shop Leonard's, but I only worked like 2 shifts because the boss
Was a
was
joke.
like, no, he was like, I think he's in jail now. I heard he's in jail because he wasn't paying taxes. Like, he was an evil man. He made me put my hand in like a bucket of boiling water. And I
Oh
remember
my
I worked with
God.
this other kid, and he's like, no one ever lasts more than a month here. And I'm like, why are you bragging about that? Like, that's
That's not
bad.
good.
But yeah, other than Leonard's, I worked at Woolworths for 6 years. That was my
Oh, you
next
said
job.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I liked it. Woolworths was like, it was fine. Yeah, it was good.
Pretty good, like early job. Um,
Yeah.
so I was gonna ask, like, obviously your TikTok has gone crazy. You have more than 60,000 followers. Did you ever expect that to happen when you kind of started out initially doing it?
Uh I mean, I used to see people do things on TikTok when was starting out, and I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I used to think I maybe, but then my early content didn't ever do very well, and I think it's when I realized you just have to not care what people think,
Yeah.
like, and that's what I'm realizing with my stand up now. You just have to do what you find funny,
Yeah.
like, and once I started doing that, and I started realizing that was successful, then I was like, oh yeah, I can see myself building a following, but yeah, if you told me a year ago I'd have 64,000 followers, I'd probably be like, that's crazy. Like, but yeah, once you kind of realize how it works, you just have to be yourself. And,
And post a lot.
I know that I'm good at characters, and I know that
Yeah.
I'm funny. Like, that's the one thing in my life that I'm
You're
confident about in
sure.
myself, that I'm funny. Like, so I'm like, I can do what other people in there are doing, but I just had to kind of find the formula. And then
And you
now,
did.
yeah, now I love TikTok. Like,
Oh, it's so fun,
it
isn't
sounds
it?
silly, but I go on TikTok live at least like twice a week. I just talk to everyone. Like, it's just fun.
I've
I
seen
really
it.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's really changed the game, right? Like, I was thinking about this today. Like, there's so many people that have blown up on TikTok that maybe never would have had a platform if it was just on Instagram because it's not filtered
Mm,
enough and not perfect enough. And I kind of love, I'm definitely like one of those millennials that they probably say shouldn't be on there, but
mm.
I am on there and I love it.
Yeah,
And
same.
like, I just think it's just more like authentic. And like, yeah, sometimes there's like, as you said, some of those videos of those like hot guys that are clearly just on there because they're hot. But but there's also like just I feel like this niche and this audience and this content that everyone was like kind of hungry for that's now coming. Like I go on there to escape the day and like get my fix of humor. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like
It's
grateful.
nice to just like, yeah, and it's a bit of everything, and it's just yeah, more realness, I guess. It's less, yeah, it's just authentic, I guess, is it?
Authentic,
Yeah.
yeah. And so what advice would you have to someone maybe in your same position a couple of years ago that's like thinking about starting comedy or starting doing silly fun videos on TikTok? Like what would you say to them?
I would just say I'd say I think there's two main things. The first
Yeah.
one is trust your own sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Like trust, yeah, trust what you find funny and don't try to think, oh, what can I make that people will find funny? Like just do what you find funny because if you're doing what you'll find funny, then
Someone
you'll
will.
have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and someone else will. But yeah, it's kind of like if you're doing stuff that you find funny, because like Till, my friend Tilly,
Yeah.
who's in
I
my
watched
videos
her as
sometimes.
well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because like, we love our TikToks because we're proud of them because we find them genuinely funny and we'll talk about our characters all the time. We'll be like, Cody would do this, Mackenzie would do that, Jerry would do that. We're passionate about it. And I think if you're doing it to try to build a following, to try to go viral, trying to appeal to people, but it's not authentic, you're not enjoying it, it won't work. Like, I just think
True.
do what you find funny, make sure you're enjoying it. Like, that's with stand up as well. Like, if you're doing it and it doesn't feel good and it feels like hard work, I mean, it does feel like hard work sometimes. I'm not going to lie. Like, you got to put work in,
Yeah.
but you should be enjoying it. So I'd say, yeah, trust your sense of humor. Do what feels funny to you and make sure you're enjoying it. That's what I'd say.
I love that advice. And I think like
Mm,
that's the same with a lot of things as well. Like if
yeah.
you're starting a business, like you don't want to be coming from a place of like, stress and like putting out content
Yeah.
that you don't or products that you don't even care about. Like you've got to
Yeah, totally.
have the why and the care behind what you're doing. So I love that advice. And I think it's applicable for a lot of
Mm.
things. But yeah, definitely social media. So I guess what's next? And then we'll go into quickly plugging anything you have coming up. Like what's next for Nick?
Look, that's a good question. It's so hard to say. Like, even, 2 or 3 months ago, that's the thing with TikTok, I guess, as well. Like, your audience can build so fast that career opportunities can come up that you just don't know. Like, and it's exciting in that sense. But yeah, it's hard to make a plan. But I guess, yeah, it's also hard to say which path my career will go down. But I'll
Yeah.
just say that I love comedy and
Yeah.
anything that happens in comedy or acting even like I
Yeah.
didn't even do drama at school because I was so shy, but
You.
yeah, like I was
Hmm.
really, it's because I was gay and I was like scared and didn't want anyone to notice me and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I've always had a passion for making people laugh and just embodying different characters. So I have management now and they're encouraging me
Amazing.
to get on casting websites, and so it's really hard to know like what's going to happen. um
Sounds like
but
you're open.
yeah, I'm open, and it's also like I enjoy TikTok and stand up basically an equal amount at the moment. So I'm doing festivals next year. I'm going to apply for like
Wow.
Adelaide and Melbourne. And yeah, I'm very open to whatever happens. As long as I'm
Watch
enjoying
this
it, I'm just
space.
going to keep doing it. Yeah, yeah, pretty
Watch this
much.
space. And I was gonna say that as well. Like I love how open you are on, your social media as well. I've noticed, you speak for the queer community and you're so open about it. And I think that the power that has to an audience that size is just amazing. And I love it. And,
Yeah, I think it's
think
because,
about young you, like,
exactly, like when I was young, up until my mid 20s, like I had this huge secret, and now I'm just at this point where I'm open about everything. Like I hate
amazing.
keeping secrets now. I hate keeping things in. So like my mental health, my sexuality, like everything is out in the open because nothing is, I'm comfortable with everything about myself now. And I think that's important for people to see so that
So
they can feel more
important.
comfortable. And yeah, I like that. I like having an audience for that reason as well, that
That's
if
amazing.
I can help anyone out who was like me younger, yeah, it feels good.
And I think like I just got like goosebumps. I think, that's part of your why and like keep doing it. And like I just think like the power, that's what I mean about TikTok, like the power that
Mm,
having all these people speak out openly about mental health, their sexuality, everything is just on the table. And I think that's so good for the next generation to see. I really do.
yeah, totally. I agree.
So if anyone would like to check out your profiles or Jerry, go check out Jerry
Mhm.
or Any anyone else? Where would you like them to go?
So for TikTok, my username is Miss Nikki Wanty, which is so silly. That's when I didn't think I nothing would happen on TikTok. But I
Yeah,
think if
and
you
you
just
can't
search my
change
name,
it.
Nick Wyatt, yeah, I
Yeah.
can't change it. But yeah, Nick Wyatt. Um, if you search Nick Wyatt on TikTok, I think I come up. And
Yeah.
then Instagram, I'm Nick Wyatt 49. Yeah, I post like most of my video content to TikTok, but then Instagram, I post more information about shows, like stand-up shows and gigs, like local gigs as well. And yeah, I'd say that's where you should go to follow me.